course, now someone else coming in. Okay, welcome everybody. I'm Liz Fenton and I'm here with Lisa Steinke. We are co-authors of 7 novels. We've also been best friends for 30 years. Our newest novel, How to Save a Life, will be out this July 14th, and it's a Groundhog's Day take on a love story. We're so excited to be partnering with Warwick'S in this venture. And I'd like to hand it over to Julie from Warwick'S, who will tell you a little bit about Warwick'S and how you can buy books.
Perfect. Thank you, Liz. Thank you, Liz and Lisa. And we couldn't do this couch surfing tour without you guys. So thank you for stepping up and doing this. It's been great fun. And Emma, my dear Emma, I am so happy you are here with us. Emma and I go way back to when your second son was born, and I think I've got here in the signed galley here something about pedal to the metal, baby, and we got you back to that train. Maybe we'll talk about that a little bit later for everybody, but anyways, we are so thrilled that you're here with us, so thank you for taking the time to do it. Just so everybody knows, Emma's book you can buy at Warwick'S. My public service announcement at all of these has been, you're joining us, we would love for you to purchase the book through us, but wherever you're watching Emma, and wherever you're doing this, make sure you support that local bookstore. You can order it online from us. I'm going to try and figure out if I can put the link in the chat, so that way you can just click on it really easily. You can call us. We're doing curbside pickup if you live in La Jolla. We're shipping anywhere. Your support has been tremendous to these events. Liz and Lisa's books are available at Warwick'S, so let's all buy some books and keep this ball rolling. So off to you, ladies. Let's have a good discussion.
All right, thanks, Julie. Well, I'm very jealous that your book is signed. Mine's not. I'll have to. Yep, I bet yours is signed. Well, Emma, I didn't get to tell you this before we came on, but Lisa and I are huge fans, and so we're just thrilled to have you. And I've loved The Vacationers is one of my all-time favorite books. So let me read your bio, and then I'm going to hand it over to Lisa for all the hard-hitting questions. But Emma is the New York Times bestselling author of 4 novels, The Vacationers, Modern Lovers, Laura Lamont's Life in Pictures, and All Adults Here, just published last week. She's also the author of the short story collection, Other People We Married. Her books have been published in 20 countries. She and her husband own Books Are Magic, an independent bookstore in Brooklyn, New York. All right, Lisa, and then I hand it over to you.
All right, yay. Well, just to echo what Liz said, huge fan, absolutely love The Vacationers. I think that's one of my favorite books ever. And I am somewhat through this one so far, and so far so good. I was outside today and my daughter kept coming out and interrupting me. I'm like, no, I need to read this, get out. So congratulations on all the success. It's just every time I turn around, I'm reading something else great has happened with this book. Among many other things, it is a Read with Jenna book club pick. Jenna Bush Hager had this to say about it. In a time when all we want is hope, it's a beautiful book to reach for. Can you tell us a little bit about what it's about?
Yeah. First of all, she is so nice. Oh boy. And thank you guys for having me. And thank you to Julie and Warwick'S. You know, it's a funny time to have a book come out. You know, I think it's a funny time. I also just turned 40 during this moment, and it was our bookstore's 3rd birthday. So I feel like I've had all of these things to celebrate. And it's a really weird time to celebrate. You know, it feels very sort of disjointed. But what I couldn't have planned, and certainly would not have planned, is how this book actually, I hope, can make people feel in this weird moment, which is, so the book is about 3 generations in a family in the Hudson Valley in upstate New York, and their, you know, various mishaps. But really it's about family and connection and making mistakes and being imperfect parents, imperfect spouses, imperfect adult children and siblings. And I think that, like, the thing that I'm missing the most right now, like in my just normal life, isn't, it's not the fact that it was my 40th birthday and I didn't get to have a party. It's not like the big fun splashy stuff. It's the totally normal, even irritating stuff of daily life. My parents live about 5 minutes straight that way on foot here in Brooklyn. And what I really miss is like my mom just like popping in and like bringing me like a bag of stuff that I didn't want or need from her house that I'm like, where did this photo album come from? Like what? And then my husband, gets annoyed. And then that's what I miss more than anything, is like all of the ways, the like complicated and layered ways we interact with and show our love and anger with our families. And that's sorry, that's a very long answer, but that's basically what the book is about.
So Lisa, I have to interject because Emma, we'll have to talk after, because even though we're in quarantine, my mom lives down the street and she's still doing those things and just dropping them outside my house.
Mine too.
So we're gonna have to talk later.
Yeah.
Sorry, Lisa, go ahead.
No, it's okay. And I was gonna say I'm kind of longing to go to Target and have like a parking confrontation with somebody or something, or we're both pulling to the same car. Anything, just something again, right? So when you were saying that, I was thinking, it's so right. I just need to get out in the world again and have some kind of interaction, no matter what it is. Wanted to ask about the title of the book. How did it come about? Was it always the title, or did it have a different?
Yeah. So this is one of those funny things that like I think that I hope my editor, no one from my publishing company is here, because this is the kind of stuff that I always get in trouble for, because I'm always honest and I think you're supposed to lie, but I'm not going to lie. This book has had so many titles. It had so many titles. It had so many book jackets. And this book took me a long time to write. It took me twice as long to write this book as any of my other books, in part because I had 2 children and then because we opened a bookstore. But I think that, because of all of those things and because I wrote it over a longer period of time, it really was these like, I think of it actually as like sort of distinct, the different drafts, which pretty much all had different titles, really feel like distinct books to me. Like the first draft of the book it has things in common with this, of course, like the characters mostly, but it really was a very different book. And so it had a title that fit that book. But yeah, this book I worked on, I was on the phone with my editor today, and she and I have worked together on my last 3 books. And I just was saying, like, this one we really made together. Like this one, like it really felt like my first novel and my first 2, maybe 3 books. I really like, I turned them in and they were edited lightly, and it was like, they were like, they sort of came in fully baked. But this one didn't at all. And so it took a long time for me to really figure out what it was and what it was about and what I was interested in. And so by the time I figured out that's sort of when this title came in. And I like, what I like about it in particular is that there is humor inherent, is that you have to, like, I mean, maybe some people can, but I can't either hear or say all adults here without it sounding like a little bit like a joke. Like there is irony involved. And I like that, because I think that, you know, there are so many, and I know this from my book selling life, there are so many books that come out every day. And the hardest kind of book to find, I think, and to put in someone else's hands, is a book that will both make you laugh and will feel sort of buoyant and fun and funny, and actually make you feel things. You know, I think that books are, you know, just, it doesn't happen that often. And that's always my goal. I'm not saying that I always get there. I don't know if I do. I'm not the one to say, but that is certainly always my goal. And I think that
you do get there. I was laughing on like the first couple lines.
Okay.
It's an amazing opening, and I was like, okay, this is her. I love her. Yeah, I just love how you make me laugh, but you have such a great way of looking at people, and they just jump off you just immediately can
it's her observations.
Right. Yes, that's the word.
Yeah.
Observations.
Yeah.
They're just
Absolutely.
I love. Well, the cover too is amazing. You also said that went through. Can you give us any, you know, stories about how that came to be? Were you involved in it?
No, I want I should switch to gallery view and make sure I'm not
right.
So the thing is that all of my books have had great book jackets. I love my book jackets, and I know how important they are. You know, I don't want to sound shallow or superficial, but as a bookseller, I can tell you that covers really matter, and that it's not even, I don't even mean they have to be beautiful or they have to be, you know, aesthetically pleasing. It's that they have to be aesthetically pleasing in exactly the right way. In the cover, the most important thing about a book jacket is that it matches the tone of what is inside the book. Because if this book had like a dark gray house and black type, and I don't know, you'd think that it was a book about a murder, or a sad divorce story. You know, like we all bring a lot. Like, I mean, so much of reading comes from the reader anyway, right? Like, so much of any book experience is brought by the reader, and what the reader's expectations are, and all of that stuff. And I think that when a book, you know, it's like those, sometimes you see that on various online platforms that I personally do not support, where people can leave reviews for books and things, that sometimes people will say things like, you know, like, I loved this book, but I also ordered a blender and the blender didn't come, so I'm going to give this a 1 star, or whatever, you know. I think that it's that kind of thing can happen sometimes if the book doesn't have the right jacket, where people say, wait, I thought that this was going to be fun, but it's actually just a really sad story. And so some of the jackets that River had made didn't feel right to me in terms of that tone. But once they sent this one, and this color,
That's
I just
so
thought
good. It's so
sunny,
good.
It's sunny, and it's and I don't know. I mean, I can like really talk for hours about the book jacket, which is probably
anyone will pick up, male, female. It just catches your eye, and you want to pick it up and find out what it's about. So which is step one, right? So
And I'll say too, I think that a lot of times people do review a book based on what their expectations on what they thought it would be. It's something that we find a lot in our book coming out in July is kind of switching genres a little bit. And we really wanted to make sure our publisher captured that. So whoever was picking up the book understood what they were picking up. So I think you make a really, really good point there.
Yeah. Really good point. Well, that leads right into what I was going to ask you next, which is you posted a picture on Instagram of your bookstore and all of your beautiful books were filling the window. And we've been asking other authors about their experience publishing during quarantine, but you're unique because you're an author and a bookseller. If you can tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. I mean, I think as an author and as a bookseller, I feel like my job is the same, which is to try to bring a little joy and happiness and comfort into people's lives. As an author, I am very, very lucky. I know that. I'm lucky not to be publishing my first novel right now. I think that it's such a hard, publishing books is always hard. It's one of those things where, every time you look at the newspaper, it turns out this newspaper isn't, used to publish 10 book reviews a day and now they publish 0 book reviews a day, that sort of thing. And so I feel really lucky because, I had an audience already. Not to say that people were like, knocking on my door being like, Emma, when's your next book? Emma, when's your next book? But I knew that there were some people out there who had read my books before and might possibly read a book again. But yeah, all I can do is try to bring people, however many hours of entertainment and escape. And as a bookstore, I get to do that all day long, not just with my book, but with everybody's books. So I feel like I am both the luckiest and most tired girl in the world.
You have the best of both worlds. You grow up, we all love books, grow up loving books, and then get to write books and be, around books all day. Yeah. I would just absolutely love that.
It is great. It's great. The thing that I miss the most about, so my husband is in the bookstore all day shipping things out because that's what we do now. But, so I'm not there very often. Sometimes I'll take our kids for a walk and we'll pop over and visit. It's, we live a 10-minute walk away. But it's what I really miss is just talking to people there, like talking to my staff who are all so smart and funny and weird and so much younger than I am. And so full of information that I do not possess. And then also talking to all the customers, oh God, that is the worst. That is the worst that I know that all these people who I'm so used to seeing every day, that they're stuck at home too. And, I wish not a too speedy end because I don't want us to rush into anything.
Right.
But, I can't wait for everyone to be able to safely come back.
For sure.
Right. So we've got
a question,
some,
right, Liz?
Yeah, we've got a couple. So I wanted to say Julie was able to put the link to buy Emma's book on Warwick'S. So in the chat, you can get that link. But we've got several questions here. So Mona is asking, what is Emma's experience of the Hudson River Valley? Because she grew up in Rockland County.
Nice. Well, at the moment, my experience of the Hudson Valley is just pure envy. Right now, I just think about people who have, I don't know, let's start with like lawns or, I don't know, porches or like lots of nature nearby. And I think why is it again that I have always resisted leaving the city? You know, I am a New York City girl, and right now I am feeling it. So I'm feeling sad right now that I don't live in the Hudson Valley. But to answer your question, I knew that I knew that I wanted the book to take place outside the city, somewhere very beautiful, and sort of straddling the line between somewhere, you know, like slightly rural, but also still cosmopolitan, you know, which is my how I think of the Hudson Valley. You know, it's filled with artsy people and great food and good books, good bookstores, and yeah, and it wasn't too far, and so I can conjure it well in my mind. And so Clapham, the town that the book takes place in, is an imaginary town, but it has lots of things in common with Rhinebeck. So if you know Rhinebeck at all, it's like if you put on like funny 3D glasses, it looks a little bit like Rhinebeck.
I love it. All right. Well, so, okay, we've got a couple questions here. Jeannie's saying she's listening to the audio and loving it. She says, when I started listening, Astrid reminded me a little bit of Olive Kittredge. Are you influenced by Elizabeth Strout?
I love Elizabeth Strout so much. I love Elizabeth Strout so much. So, you know, what's funny about it is that I for sure am influenced by Elizabeth Strout. But I had already finished this book when I read Olive again. And there is, I don't know how far you are, but there's like an older person, not quite like a nursing home, but like a retirement community in the book. And then I read Olive again, which has a lot of stuff in a nursing home at the very end, and I was like, oh man, so good, she's so good, she's so good. Think about how great she was. But yeah, I mean, I love Elizabeth Strout, and I think that you know, Astrid is tough in some ways that are like Olive, but she's not bristly with she's not a Mainer, so she's not like bristly with outside people. I would say if you met her, you would think that she was very polite.
Well, we have another, there's a ton of questions and they're probably far more interesting than mine. So I'm just going to read another one from Susan. She says, with 3 generations of characters, are any of them informed or based on your relatives or yourself?
I mean, sure, in the way that, you know, I have only my own eyeballs to look through and only my own experience to start from, you know. It's not, I mean, this family is nothing like my family at all, but if you asked me if each of these characters, you know, came out of me, the answer is yes. So I mean, it's one of those, it's not an autobiographical novel, if that's the question. But I think that in every book I write, you know, there might be like a conversation that I've had, or a feeling that I've had, or, you know, sort of, so there are, you know, threads that go through that might be autobiographical. But I think that what's so much fun about writing fiction is that that's where it starts, you know, like, oh, this is an argument I had with my mother or whatever. And then once you're really inside your characters, it's not your conversation with your mother anymore at all. Yeah. Does that answer the question?
Yeah, I think it does. I mean, as authors, I think you're always kind of, you know, pulling from different things in life and filing for a future time. And so on some level, something in there is probably based on something related to you. Another question is actually from author Sarah McCoy.
Hi, Sarah.
She says, hi, Sarah.
Hi,
She
Sarah.
says, double waves. She says, such a wonderful book. Or do you want to just ask it, Sarah? We can unmute you if you want to just ask her. Up to you. No? Okay. She says, such a wonderful book and so needed right now, sunshine and hope. Thank you for being here. As an author and bookseller, what are your thoughts on the future of book tours and events? Are these kinds of online discussions the new norm?
I think they are. Yeah. Thank you, Sarah. I think for now and the immediate future, yes. I think that there's, I don't think there's going to be a button that we push in September, say, that makes it feel safe again to, at Books Are Magic, we have events pretty much every night of the week. And, sometimes there are 25 people there. Sometimes there are 125 people there. And sometimes there are so many people there that the windows get fogged up and there is a crowd of people outside on the sidewalk. And I just can't imagine when that is going to feel good or okay. I worry too much about everyone to sort of wish for that. But I do think that, obviously I know as much as anyone else does about how this is all gonna, play out in all of our different cities and across the country. But I think that what I can imagine is doing things like this from the bookstore, where when it's okay for, for author X to, when it's okay for me to come to Warwick's and be there sitting with Lisa and Liz and Julie and maybe 10 people in the audience, and then everybody else is watching from home. I think that's what I can imagine. That's my hope, I guess.
Yeah, I could see that too. I think you're on the right path with that. We've got some comments here. Denise says, thank you so much for keeping the book community alive. Kathleen says, thanks for doing this event. And then we have a question too. Jefferson is asking, I was so charmed by Modern Lovers during this quarantine, which is a great book, by the way. What books have sustained you during this strange time?
Yeah, well, thank you, Jefferson. That's so nice. I have been reading a lot. I don't have much time because I have these children who are always touching my body, and up to me. But when I am able to read, I've been reading both thrillers and rom-coms mostly. That is what the doctor ordered for me. I at the bookstore, I don't know about you, Julie, but we have been selling so many copies of classic novels that people are like, War and Peace. It's now or never. Have you been selling tons of that sort of thing?
It's the classics but like you said, the thrillers and the page turners. And it's like, so everybody's either going for the, within the same order, they'll order that, giant classic that they haven't gotten to, but they want something that they just want to, John Grisham turn those pages. Right. And I think that, and I understand the impulse. Middlemarch is probably my favorite novel. Like, Middlemarch and somebody's holding that up actually right now. Oh, I don't see it. Yeah.
That's awesome.
I mean, that's, I would say one of my top 3 at least. But if you gave me $1 million right now and told me that I had to read Middlemarch, during quarantine, I don't think I could. I just, my brain isn't, it's not there enough.
Jean's laughing.
I don't want to tell you guys all that my brain is not here, because you're all very nicely listening to me talk. So my brain is present, but it's not, I'm not there right now in terms of my reading. But but of course I can't live without one chapter of Middlemarch a day. God bless you. Maybe I'll try. But I have been, I need to turn pages. Like, I need to read books. And so I just read, just the other day, I finished a novel called Pretty Things by Janelle Brown.
It's a good one.
Terrific.
Yeah.
Takes place in Lake Tahoe, which I've never been to, but now I'm like, I could find my way around Lake Tahoe. I read a novel called The Herd by Andrea Bartz, which is another thriller. And it's I mean, I would say, like, over the course of my adult reading life, I've read a lot of thrillers, but I hadn't in the last few years. And so it's been really fun to read those. And some rom-coms. Like, there are a couple of really good ones that are coming out really soon. There's one called Something to Talk About by a woman named Meryl Wilsner, that it's her debut, and that comes out, I'm going to say, very soon.
That's safe.
I'm sure you can order it on Warwick'S website, or pre-order it, as the case may be. That one was great. It's about like a sort of Shonda Rhimes like Hollywood producer who falls in love with her assistant, and it's great. And then there, another one I really liked was called One to Watch. I think that comes out in July. It's by a woman named Kate Stayman London. It's another debut. And that is about a plus size fashion blogger who gets chosen to be the Bachelorette. A+.
That sounds good.
That sounds really good.
Like, of course, I'm, because of the bookstore, but also because I'm an author, I also get sent people's books every day, all day. And so, I mean, I've been reading a lot, but I would say those are books that I read. Nobody asked me to read. There was, I'm not writing blurbs. It was just because I wanted to.
Yeah, I agree with you, because I've actually read Janelle's Pretty Things, and we had Andrea on a couple of weeks ago on this, and so I read The Herd too.
Yeah,
I think those are and your book, of course, too. Those are all kind of quarantine busters, because I've really struggled. And another one I read is The Air Affair, which is coming out in July by the follow-up to The Royal We. That was really good too.
So much. Why has nobody sent me that book? I am ready.
Oh, I think they didn't send ARCs. I think they did them digitally, but I'm sure you could get one, girl.
I'm gonna shake those.
Yeah, it's really good.
I love that. Well, we have another question. You had mentioned earlier that Jenna Bush Hager is very nice, and I actually wanted more details, so now we're going to get it, hopefully. Mary McKean is asking, what has been your experience with being the Today Show Book of the Month?
Yeah, so I've known Jenna for a few years now, because every now and then I get invited to go on to talk about books. Not always with Jenna, but the first time I went, she and I were sitting in neighboring makeup chairs, and I was, I'm a good New Yorker. Like, I am well trained to have like horse blinders on, and like, I am not gonna bother this person who is on television every day. Like, she's having her space, I'm in my space, and she leaned over and she said, I just love Modern Lovers so much. And I was like,
I guess that's me.
Hello. And she has just always been really kind to me. and she's come to my bookstore, and she and I, talk about books, and it's what I hope everyone understands about Jenna, but also about some of the other people with huge book clubs like that, like Reese Witherspoon, is that those women are serious readers. Those women are not plucking names out of a hat or having books picked for them. Those women are serious readers and book lovers. And I am so grateful. I am so grateful that Jenna chose All Adults Here. But I am equally grateful that she chooses great books every month, because, in the way that like Oprah's book club used to sell, Oprah's book club still sells books, certainly. But just, I think that anyone who really makes it part of their like core mission in life to sell books is A-okay in my book.
I
Not
agree.
This, in my life book.
Not your actual book. Well, I have another question, but then there's another question also from someone here. So can we do mine first, and then we'll jump to hers? Because I'm just curious. I read that All Adults Here is going to be developed into a series. Is this true? And
well, yes. I have, several of my books have been optioned, and I've worked on some projects, and as far as I can tell with Hollywood, it's better to have low expectations and be surprised than have big expectations and be sorely disappointed. So it is true that I am working on it. I'm working on a pilot, and with a great production company and with an amazing co-writer, and I feel hopeful, and we'll see.
Sounds good.
We'll see.
Fingers crossed for you. Okay, well, Cindy is asking, how do you feel like you've grown since the very first novel?
Oh my God. How much time do we have? My first book came out, I was 31. And I was married, and I'd gone to grad school. But I was a baby. I was really, when I think about my story collection, less so, but like when I think about my first novel, which was called Laura Lamont's Life in Pictures, and which covered about 60 years in this woman's life throughout her career in the Hollywood studio system. When I think about that book, I just think like, oh my God, like I was just swinging for the fences. I was like, I have had none of these experiences, but I have an imagination and a library card. Like I can do it. And I just want to give my little self a hug for trying so hard, I did, I'm really, sometimes I say disparaging things about that first book, just because it's so different tonally from my subsequent books. And I think that like when I started writing, I thought, okay, I want to be like a writer like Jennifer Egan. Or like Zadie Smith. Like I want to be a writer where you don't know what the next book is going to be. Like you're going to love it because it's written by this amazing brain, but you have no idea what sort of thing it's going to be. That was my plan And then when I wrote The Vacationers, which was the book after Laura Lamont, something happened, which was that I really found the voice that felt like me. And it felt like me because it was my voice. You know, I clicked into gear in a way that I didn't sort of recognize that I had been actively avoiding, but I had. And once that happened, I realized how much better it was to write a book that felt totally authentic to me. And that it felt better for me, and it was better for the reader, I think. I mean, I can tell you 14 people bought my first novel, and I know all of them, and more people than that bought my next book. So I think that I don't think it's just a figment of my imagination that I figured some things out about my writing. And then, you know, after that, like, I think after I figured that out, things got a lot, I really felt like I was on track. But even so, like, thinking about things that I wrote about in my earlier books, like writing about children before I had children, I know a lot more now. And I think as I get older, and, you know, since I like to write about relationships, and families, I think that it just makes sense that the more I actually experience and see up close, just the better and richer my books will be, I hope. So really my best books are going to be when I'm about 65 years old.
Well, we can't wait. Can't wait to see that. I still remember buying The Vacationers, and I had bought We Were Liars by E. Lockhart at the same time.
Yeah.
And I read that they came out around the same time, right? And I read them back to back, and they still to this day are just like books I love, because I read them around the same time. Like, it's like a feeling. So we have one more question from the audience that we're going to take, and it's from Susan, and she wants to know what your writing schedule's like with so much to distract you. She also says thanks for being here.
Oh, thank you. I will tell you that my writing schedule looks like this. It's a large zero. It is a zero. It's an empty space. Yeah, I mean, you know, right now my husband is, as I said, at the bookstore all day, and I am home with my 4-year-old and my 6-year-old, who are not, like, I think other people maybe have 4-year-olds and 6-year-olds who are self-sufficient for short periods of time, but mine really, really are not. And so I am, you know, trying to get them to do their schoolwork and to do art projects and to make paper mache things with me and to just all of that, and bake cookies and everything. And, you know, I look forward to working again. But it's not going to happen right now. I mean, you know, it's also that, you know, obviously right now I'm doing a lot of things like this. So I'm, you know, it's also possible that once my, you know, the sort of book promotional stuff, you know, goes away, that I might have time. Although, you know, I'm just one of those, like, my children wake up very early, like very early. And so by the time they're in bed, which is now, I can't use my brain to write fiction. I can sort of answer emails, but that's about it. So yeah, I'm using all of my creative juices right now to keep my children entertained, and to, like, we had a good treasure hunt today.
Oh.
And yeah, that's about it.
and they're drawing a lot of pictures. Like,
oh yeah, no, yes,
behind you.
I also believe in forced labor. So, like, there's a bus accident in the first sentence. So this is the school, but I know it's hard to see It's hard to see.
They're pretty good for 4 and 6-year-olds. I have to say.
Oh yes, they're very good. They're very good.
They're pretty good. Abby has a comment. She says she has a 4 and 7-year-old. They're not self-sufficient. As you could probably see during this, as they keep peeking their faces in and talking to me every 5 seconds. Well, good thing. That's why we mute you all when you come in, Abby.
Yeah, and that's like, you know, I'm really also happy that I'm in the guest room in our house, and my children are not allowed in here. They are up the stairs. They are not anywhere near here, because if they were, I wouldn't be able to get a word in edgewise.
Right. That's that age. Well, we're so happy to have you here today. Can you tell everybody where to find you on social media and your website?
Yes. So you can find me at Emma Straub on all of the places, you know, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, etc. And you can find Books Are Magic at booksareMagic.net. But if you are here, then I expect you to go to Warwick's website and order the book there. Or, you know, if you live in Cambridge, Massachusetts, then you should order it from Porter Square Books. Or if you live in Austin, Texas, you should order it from Book People. Or, you know, follow your bliss. Support your independent booksellers, because they need you and they love you, and you really want them to be open after all this. So yeah, sorry, I don't mean to be too bossy, but it's important.
Oh, we like bossy here. Lisa told you I'm a drill sergeant. Well, we thank everybody for coming. You can find Lisa and I on Instagram at Lisa and Liz, and our website at lizandlisa.com/events. We have a ton of great events coming up. We have Kimmery Martin next week, but we are booked to July, and most of those events are up. We're adding every day, but we've got some amazing authors coming up. And then we also do a ton of giveaways on Facebook at Liz Fenton and Lisa Steinke, and also on Instagram. So come find us here. And Julie, I'm going to hand it to you to remind everybody how they can buy Emma's book.
Excellent. Thank you. Well, first, Emma, you're a treasure. And thank you for taking the time to do this. We appreciate it so much. I've been watching everybody's faces, and everybody's been nodding and happy that you're here. So from our bottom of our heart, thank you for taking the time to come and do this with us. We really appreciate it. And to that point too, you mentioned like debut authors, and I know I've got a lot of you here. Ladies and gentlemen, take the chance and come and visit us with a debut author when we do these, because they need your support as much as we love supporting our established authors. The debuts really need your support too. So all adults here, best characters, oh my God, laugh thing. I mean, this was really a great ride. So Emma, thank you for creating this. Warwick's.com, or you can call us at the store. And I just can't thank everybody enough for being here. This is really a treasure. And Liz and Lisa, as always, you guys do a rock star job. So thank you.
Well, thank you. And Emma, like we said earlier, we are huge fans. So this was a big honor for us tonight. And I'm kind of savoring your book because I'm loving it, but I've been really picky in quarantine. So I don't want it to end. Because then I don't know what the hell I'm going to read next. So,
yeah. Well, you know, call me or call Julie and we can tell you.
I'll give you recommendations, right?
Yeah. I think I'll be able to find something by talking to you guys. But thank you. And I just want to thank everybody who came tonight and support Warwick's and these authors who have books coming out. And like I said, we've got a ton of events coming up, and we hope that you will join us. So everybody have a great night, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, everybody.